As you can see, I have on no makeup and I look pretty pale. I've actually been sick for over 3 weeks. So the next number of videos that you are going to see are going to be quite short because I just really and truly haven't been feeling well and I'm recovering. So I'm going to be with you, but the next number of days are going to be a lot shorter versions than what you're accustomed to. If you're a person who prays, please pray for me. I would appreciate it. I've had a sinus infection, a double ear infection. I'm pretty sure I've had bronchitis for almost 18 days. I could not speak because there was so much going on with my throat and a horrible cough. So I would really appreciate you praying for me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 212. It's not a good fit. I take care of an elderly lady, and she has some problem with her feet. She has 7 or 8 pairs of shoes, and every pair of shoes she wears, she talks about how much they hurt her. So her family paid for a very expensive pair of shoes, almost $200, that fit her absolutely wonderfully. But because they're diabetic shoes and they're made to have a lot of support, they're heavy on the bottom. She hates those shoes. You have to talk and talk and talk to even talk her into wearing them for a little while, a couple hours a day. And then she's pulling them off and she wants to go back to those same old shoes that she's always worn, which have little support and hurt her feet. But she doesn't like the other shoes. And she complains that at the end, there's about half to 3/4 of an inch, and that toe room bothers her when in fact that's what's allowing her feet to not hurt so badly. In her opinion, it's not a good fit. And I'll never forget, I had lost a lot of weight and I had a shirt that I absolutely adored, and I put it on and it hung on me like a sack. It looked so hideous. It wasn't a good fit anymore, whereas once it had fit me. Do you know that sometimes you have to admit to yourself that there are things that are in your life or in your world, in your sphere, they're just not a good fit? Some things you can't get rid of. You have to make adjustments in order that you'll be all right doing it. So it's like sending a good garment to a good seamstress and allowing them to make adjustments. That is possible. You might need to make adjustments, but sometimes you have to really get your kid. So that's why this is under the affection category. You have to love your child enough to listen to them and to know them and recognizing this is not a good fit. So I think about the one kid in a movie who loved to dance, and he wanted to dance really badly, and his dad thought that was really sissified, and his dad couldn't stand it, so he was making his kid do all these guy things. And there wasn't anything wrong with the kid whatsoever. He just really loved to dance. And ultimately, in the end, he got to. And he was a great dancer. You can try to shove your kid into a mold. You can do your best to try to make him fit, especially when he's young and you think he's still pretty pliable. But as I've shared with you before, children are born with innate interests and abilities. They really, truly are. And you're not going to get them out of them, nor should you try. You should allow that child the liberty of being who she is, of enjoying what he enjoys, and becoming what he or she is meant to become. So you need to be able to recognize when something is not a good fit. And that revolves around knowing and understanding your child and really loving them. So if you see your kid complain every single time that she has to go to volleyball practice, I hate this. I don't want to go. I don't know why I'm doing this. You have to know them well enough to know, is there a problem with the coach? Is there a problem with a fellow player? Or do they really despise volleyball and it is not a good fit for them? You have to be able to discern these things, and it might require a little research on your part. You might need to take them out for pizza on a Saturday afternoon, just the two of you, and sit down and go, so talk to me about why you hate volleyball, and be prepared to hear it. I saw a really great movie once about a young woman, and she was a brilliant young woman, but she had an amazing voice. So her folks thought she was going to be a doc. They had thought she was going to be a doctor since she was a little kid. She'd always wanted to be. But as a teenager, when she discovered the joy of performing and she had this beautiful voice, she decided that she was going to sing. And it was very difficult for her to tell her mom and dad, so she shared it with her uncle. And he didn't divulge her secret, but he told her she really needed to talk to them because she's going to go to college the next year and she didn't want to go to med school or pre-med any longer. I'm inviting you as a parent to know your child well enough that they don't have to sit there for 2 or 3 years of their life, or perhaps even longer, so uncomfortable trying to tell you something is not a good fit for them. I hope that you are developing the kind of relationship and the depth of communication with your kids that they can come to you and say, you know, I do really, really, really hate this, and I don't want to do it anymore. I will say to you, in today's day and age where kids have been through COVID and there have been some social challenges, that there may be things kids really like, but they don't want to have to go through all the difficulty of getting there because of social interactions or different kinds of issues. Again, this is where when you are online with them, and I don't mean like on the internet, I mean in direct communication with them, and you are able to have conversations with them about how they're really thinking and feeling, then they can talk to you honestly. Mom and Dad, here's my great encouragement to you today. Do not be critical or judgmental. If what they want to do is so far off the grid of anything you've ever heard of, and as I said, I've known a really artsy family who had a child who grew up to be a chemist, and that whole science thing was so foreign and strange to them. When he was young, it was kind of an issue. This child may have interests and ideas that have nothing to do with anything you ever taught them or encouraged them about, and yet you need to have a heart that is willing to be receptive and to explore who your child really is as a human being. If something is not a good fit, often the best thing to do is get rid of the shoes or adjust to them by giving them a little bit of time each day to get accustomed to them. And if you are a reasonable parent and you have raised a pretty reasonable child, this is going to be something that you're going to be able to manage. My challenge question for you today is, are there things in your world that are not a good fit? What are you going to do about that? And are there things in your child's world that are not a good fit? What are you going to do about that? So some of the things you can do are take time to adjust, totally change gears and get rid of whatever is not a good fit, or acknowledge that this is still good for you or good for your child, and you're going to persevere and continue through the challenges. And perhaps one day it will be something that will be all right again. It's been great having you with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. I hope I will see you again soon. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.